Hey everybody, welcome to Always Bored, Never Boring. A little while back I finally picked up a Shadows of Brimstone core set, City of the Ancients, and it's fair to say I have enjoyed the game immensely. I fell in love with westerns as a child, watching them with my dad. I am a huge horror and H.P. Lovecraft fan, and, I probably don't need to tell you, miniatures, games and dungeon crawlers are my jam. As such, Shadows of Brimstone is something of a perfect storm, and the only real surprise is that it took me so very long to get around to buying a copy. At some point there will be a full review on the channel, but for now the only thing you really need to know is that I like it a lot, I would like to expand it, but I do have some concerns. Shadows of Brimstone is a big, messy game. Even with just one core set, it hogs the table and sprawls. After just a few missions, players have dozens of cards to juggle, plus copious notes to track, and in order to function, the game requires so many decks of cards. Look at this. This is just from one core set. You have epic, high, medium and low threat cards, plus threat cards for the Targa Plateau. Then there are maps, encounters and artifacts for the mine location, and another set of those 3 decks for the Targa Plateau. That's already a lot to juggle, but you still have loot cards, scavenge cards, gear cards, darkness cards, growing dread cards, world cards, personal items, starting gear, ability cards, and reference cards. If you buy an expansion that introduces another world, that adds another set of map, encounter, artifact, and threat cards. Even just buying a hero expansion has the potential to swell the number of decks. For example, I received the Gambler Hero Pack as a gift, which I looked at in a recent video discussing good character design, and that pack includes a new set of Gambler trick cards. Overall, the game has an imposing presence, and it wants to expand. It needs to expand. The hook is that you are supposed to explore all these weird and wonderful worlds. You are supposed to dive headlong into an adventure spanning time and space is exactly what the game demands from you. With just the slightest effort, it will swell and distend, relentlessly swallowing your tabletop like a monstrous Lovecraftian entity. Admittedly, you don't need every deck of cards out during a game. Personal items can sometimes be drawn from, but it's not a regular occurrence, so you can keep them in the box. Starting gear and starting abilities are only needed for initial character creation, and once you are in the swing of the game you won't need the various reference cards. Decks of cards unique to a character can also be set aside until they are needed. But still, with just one core game you are looking at around 17 decks. Before I even thought about expanding the game, I wanted some way to keep things organised on the tabletop, because even on a 6x4 gaming table, this game really is a space hog. After a quick look around online, I found this. This is a fully printed card holder from the Polish company eRaptor. It's made out of wood, comes flat packed, and goes together in about 10 minutes without the need for any glue. There are a whole bunch of different designs, but obviously I picked one featuring Cthulhu, Cthulhu, you know, whichever pronunciation you prefer. And because this particular model has 12 card trays, I picked up 2, paying around £14 each. With 24 card compartments, I have enough room to arrange all the core game cards from Shadows of Brimstone, with a few spaces left over for expansion. If we pop the box open, you can see you get 3 punch boards with full colour printing. They are a decent thickness, and if you look at the side panels you can see there is the little eRaptor logo cut out of them. And of course there's an instruction sheet. This is really straightforward. The parts are labelled. You punch them out and assemble them in sequence, so A, B, C. And if there are numbers, you punch and assemble those parts in sequence too, so A1, then A2, then A3, and so on. Really couldn't be easier. The only concern is potentially damaging a piece as you pop it out of the frame, so it pays to take your time here and do it carefully. But if you work your way around gently breaking out each connection point, the pieces come out easily, and then they simply slot together. As you are assembling the card holder, it all feels a bit loose and you may be tempted to crack open some wood glue, but once it's finished, it's a very robust structure. Glue really isn't necessary. And again, as you're putting it together, just be a little careful. The wood is a decent thickness, but you do have some thinner elements where the grooves have been cut, and if you don't align them properly and instead try to force them, they could snap off. So take your time, line up each component correctly, it should all go together fairly easily in the end. And when it's all assembled, it looks pretty good, although it should be noted all the pretty Lovecraftian artwork is in the base of the trays, so as soon as you put some cards in there, you aren't going to see it. In terms of features, there's not a lot to say really, but the card holder is well thought out. Each compartment measures approximately 68mm by 96mm, so they are suitable for standard size cards even when sleeved. Additionally, each compartment has a cutaway at the front, which makes it possible to grip the deck from the top and bottom at the same time. That means you can easily remove the deck to shuffle it, tilt the deck up to slide a card underneath, or even draw a card from the bottom of the stack. And you can even do that on the bottom row because the bottom row is elevated slightly from the tabletop. Little things, but with a product like this, it's the little things that make a big difference. I will be using these trays to organise a lot of my games. I think they could even help with keeping active, exhausted and discarded endurance cards organised for Aliens Another Glorious Day in the core. But for Shadows of Brimstone specifically, my plan is to allocate one card holder to the cards I access most frequently. That means I will store epic, high, medium and low threats on the top row. On the second row I will have the maps, encounters and artifacts for the mine area, with the final spot reserved for the scavenge cards. On the bottom row there will be gear, loot, darkness and growing dread cards. That leaves the second holder for other worlds. At the moment I only have the Targa Plateau, and because there are 4 card decks, maps, encounters, artifacts and threats, I can put them all in one row. All things being equal, I should be able to safely expand with 2 more worlds before needing any more organisational accessories. Although I would probably just swap in and out the decks for the worlds we discover on any particular adventure, rather than having them all ready to go at one time. And that is, of course, if I decide to expand the game that much. Do I want to? Yes and no really. I think the game really does require expansion. You do want to find fresh enemies, fresh worlds and fresh loot. That's a big part of the draw, but each new addition to the game adds bloat. I am reluctant to let the game spiral out of control to the point where it feels like it's too much effort to set up and play. I would rather keep it manageable. For the time being, I think my plan is to look at getting a few more Targa Plateau enemies and then grab another world with the intention of expanding that slightly in a similar manner. Then I'll see how it goes from there. I don't see myself ever going crazy with the game, but 2 or 3 fully fleshed out worlds sounds good to me. And I know, everybody and their dog recommends the Frontier Town expansion. I'm thinking about it. But that is it from me for now. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please consider pressing the like button. If you really like the video, please consider subscribing if you don't already do so. And hopefully, I will see you all again very soon. Bye bye everyone. Bye bye.